A beloved royal rises to fame through a fairy tale wedding, but dark whispers and shocking new claims reveal secrets that destroy the dream forever. TomBower just said something about Meghan Markle and Andrew that nobody saw coming. What did a royal author discover hiding in plain sight? Why is this old connection suddenly making people afraid? And what does this mean for the secrets Meghan tried to bury? The truth has been locked away for years, but now the door is opening. If you ever felt betrayed by someone you trusted, this story will cut deep into your heart.
Everyone thought she was the one who would save the royal family. Back in 2018, the whole world watched. Meghan Markle walked down that aisle in a white dress. Millions of people cried happy tears. She was supposed to be different. She was American. She was modern. She smiled like sunshine. But something was wrong from the very beginning. People didn't see it yet. The palace didn't say anything. But behind those giant castle walls, whispers were already starting. Old royal staff members looked at each other with worried eyes. They knew something the world didn't know. And now, years later, TomBower is pulling back the curtain. He's a man who digs into secrets that powerful people try to hide. He wrote books that made celebrities angry. He doesn't stop until he finds the truth. And this time, he found something that connects Meghan to one of the most hated men in the royal family. What did he find? Prince Andrew was once the favorite son. Back in the 1980s, people loved him. He was handsome. He flew helicopters in the military. Cameras followed him everywhere. He married a beautiful woman named Sarah Ferguson. They had 2 daughters. For a while, Andrew looked like a hero. But that image didn't last. Slowly, strange stories started coming out. Stories about his friends, stories about private islands and powerful men who did terrible things. One name kept appearing over and over: Jeffrey Epstein. Andrew said he barely knew him, but photos proved he was lying. There were pictures of them together, smiling, standing close. The world started asking hard questions. Andrew tried to explain himself on TV, but it went horribly wrong. He looked guilty. He sounded cold. Now he hides inside royal properties, away from cameras and crowds. And TomBower says Meghan's story touches his story in ways nobody expected. How are they connected? TomBower spent 2 years digging into Meghan's past. He talked to people who knew her before she was famous. He found old friends, old co-workers, people she left behind. He read through court documents. He studied timelines. He looked at who Meghan knew, where she went, and who helped her climb. And during his research, one name kept showing up in strange places: Prince Andrew. Not in the way you'd think, not at family dinners or public events, but in private circles. In the same rooms, at the same parties, connected to the same people who later became problems. TomBower found something in the records that made him stop and stare. Meghan had been around people in Andrew's world long before she ever met Prince Harry. She knew names. She attended events. She was seen in places where Andrew's friends gathered. It wasn't a coincidence. And now, Bower is ready to say it out loud. What exactly did he discover? Before Meghan was a duchess, she was climbing. She wanted fame. She wanted power. She went to every party she could find. In Hollywood, that's how you survive. You shake hands, you smile, you meet the right people. But some of those parties weren't normal. They were exclusive, invitation only, held in private mansions with no cameras allowed. The kind of events where celebrities mixed with billionaires, where deals happened in dark corners, where secrets were born. And some of those parties
were connected to people in Prince Andrew's circle. TomBower found guest lists. He found old photos that were never meant to be public. He talked to people who were there. They remembered seeing Meghan. They remembered her talking to men with power, men who later became infamous. She wasn't doing anything illegal, but she was there. She was watching. She was learning how the game worked. And years later, that knowledge would help her marry a prince. But at what cost? By 2019, the palace was already in crisis. Prince Andrew's scandals were exploding in the news. Victims were speaking out. Lawyers were asking questions. The royal family tried to protect him, but the public was furious. They wanted Andrew gone. They wanted answers. And then, just as that fire was burning, another problem appeared. Meghan. She wasn't following the rules. She was giving secret interviews. She was fighting with staff members. She was making demands. The palace didn't know how to control her. And worst of all, she knew too much. She had seen how the royal machine worked. She knew where the bodies were buried. She understood the same game that Andrew had played for decades. Smile for the cameras, hide the truth, protect the image at all costs. But Meghan didn't want to play that game quietly. She wanted the world to know her side of the story. And that terrified the people in charge. What were they so afraid of? TomBower saw something that made his blood run cold. Both Meghan and Andrew followed the same pattern. They both climbed into power by knowing the right people. They both smiled in public while hiding messy truths in private. They both used their royal titles to open doors. And they both ended up in scandals that almost destroyed the monarchy. But here's the part that scared Bower the most. Meghan learned from people in Andrew's world. She saw how they manipulated the media. She watched how they made powerful friends. She studied how they survived accusations by playing victim, by twisting stories, by controlling the narrative. And when her own scandal started, she used those same exact tricks. She cried on TV. She blamed the palace. She painted herself as the innocent one trapped in a cruel system. It was the same playbook Andrew tried to use, except Meghan was better at it. She knew how to make people believe her. But what happens when the truth comes out? There are things Meghan never wanted anyone to find. Old emails, old friendships, conversations she had before she met Harry, promises she made to people who helped her get close to the royal family. TomBower found some of them. He talked to people who said Meghan wasn't honest about her past. She rewrote her own history. She erased people who didn't fit her new image. She lied about how much she knew, how connected she really was, and what she was willing to do to get what she wanted. And some of those lies touched the same world that destroyed Prince Andrew. Bower doesn't say she did anything criminal, but he does say she knew more than she ever admitted. She was around people she later claimed to barely know. She attended events she said she never went to. And when journalists started digging, she threatened them with lawyers, just like Andrew did. What was she hiding? Here's the part that will break your heart. The palace knew. Before Harry married Meghan, royal security did background checks. They found things. They saw the connections. They knew about the parties, the people, the whispers. But they didn't stop the wedding. Why? Because they were desperate. They needed Meghan to work. They needed a modern American princess to save their dying image. So they ignored the red flags. They hoped everything would be fine. But deep down, they knew it wouldn't be. TomBower spoke to former palace staff who said they were ordered to stay quiet. They were told not to ask too many questions. They watched Meghan walk down that aisle knowing she had secrets the public would never forgive. And when those secrets started leaking, the palace tried to cover them up, just like they did with Andrew. But this time, the cover-up failed, and now the world knows. This is the moment everything breaks open. TomBower's new claim is simple but devastating. Meghan Markle was far more connected to the toxic circles around Andrew than anyone ever admitted. She didn't meet those people by accident. She sought them out. She used those connections to climb higher. And when she married Harry, she brought all of that baggage into the royal family. Bower says Meghan knew exactly what kind of world Andrew lived in because she had danced around the edges of it herself. She understood how powerful men operated. She knew how to play their game, and she played it well. But the royal family couldn't handle two scandals at once. Andrew's downfall was already destroying them, and now Meghan's secrets were threatening to finish the job. So they made a choice. They protected the crown, and they let Meghan go. But the truth stayed buried until now. This is what Meghan never wanted you to know. And now, the fairy tale is dead. Meghan left the royal family. She moved to California. She tried to rebuild her image with interviews, podcasts, and Netflix deals. But the whispers never stopped. People kept asking questions, and TomBower kept digging. His new claims don't just hurt Meghan, they destroy the fantasy. They prove that the palace lied, that Meghan lied, and that the whole royal system is built on protecting powerful people who do terrible things. Prince Andrew hides in shame. Meghan hides behind PR teams. But the truth is finally crawling out of the shadows. And once people see the full picture, they'll never look at the royal family the same way again. This wasn't a love story. It wasn't a rescue. It was a game of power, played by people who knew exactly what they were doing. And in the end, the only ones who lost were the people who believed in the dream. The dream is over. The fairy tale is over. The truth is finally out. And there's so much more we didn't have time to cover. Hit subscribe so you never miss another secret we uncover. Check out our playlist on royal scandals. The next story is even darker. The crown is cracking, and we're just getting started.